Hey there, everybody. Um, Welcome back to the show. Um, I'm your host with the most, B Renegade. Um, let's see. Got to figure out what it is that I kind of want to talk about today. I can kind of continue the storyline of different things that have happened. Maybe pick up on the where we left off on the Real Men Real Ish show. I don't know. Um, I can start off, I guess, start off with how the day went, right? The day today was supposed to be, I was supposed to get my tattoo today, and it did not happen only because of scheduling conflicts. So, um, but next week should be the day, so I'm looking forward to that. I'm super excited. Um, it's become kind of a thing for me as far as like what I'm getting tattooed on me. Um, and once I get it done and like kind of do a whole like little show, I'll I'll show everybody and then get into the breakdown of why I'm getting what it is that I'm getting and why I got it, like in that style or whatever. And so, yeah, today was interesting. Got to hang out with a friend. Um, Shout out to Stephanie. She knows who she is. Um, but yeah, today I had a few things that I had to get done aside from the attempt to try to get my tattoo done. Um, Went out and had lunch, and then decided, okay, well, the tattoo's not happening, so get a few things and knock out. And had to get a smog, oil change, and register the car, get it all taken care of. But in during that time, again, I got to hang out with a friend of mine and just kind of go back and forth on the different things that have been going on in our lives. Um, don't want to get to too much detail as far as mm, what what was said necessarily, other than that in fact that it was really illuminating. Um, I don't always the damn glasses, I swear. uh, yeah, the day was interesting. Like I said, uh, had had lunch, and the conversation that we had today was was funny and pretty deep, and also just kind of I think kind of geared me towards what I wanted to talk about today, and that was the the relationships, right? Like the relationships that um well, I might as well just put it out there. You know what? It doesn't really matter. So Stephanie is my ex-wife, and so granted, that's not a real name, right? But um, we're still friends, and so just kind of being able to keep up with each other as far as like things going on in our lives, but also with the family. Uh, I never thought in a million years, honestly, growing up the way that I grew up, um, I never thought that I would be friends with an ex like that. But when you have the history that we have, it's really hard to be able to say like, all right, you know what, I'm just going to drop it after realistic time frame about 18 years. Um, and so we can chat, and what's really cool is that I guess because there's no added pressure, it makes the conversation just flow so much smoother as far as like we could talk about anything and everything, and there is no surprises, at least for the most part. I mean, Been a couple of parts of the conversation that have been kind of like, oh, okay, well, I did not know that, but overall, it's been really good. But working through what my relationships have been like, right, with her and then with anybody else that's been in my life. Um, what causes me to do some of the things that I do as far as when it comes to my relationships. Now I know that I've spoken in in one of my, probably, what was it, episode 2, I want to say, as far as my like core wounds, um, some that I didn't realize that I had were the heartache and the hurt from past relationships. Now I haven't had a lot of girlfriends. I haven't been in a lot of relationships. Um, I've had just like a handful, and then I got married when I was 24. So that, up until this point, kind of kept me off the market and the dating market, right? I mean, it's not like I was out there looking for anybody else. I was married, so. But I know that I mentioned in the relationship episodes that we've done in the other show was my first girlfriend, who uh, we dubbed Anna, and she, unbeknownst to her, did quite a number on me. Right? Um, we had we had a relationship that, I mean, you can't really. What do you call, like, 2 8-year-olds that want to say that they're boyfriend and girlfriend but really don't understand the concept of it, right? Like what you see on TV or whatever, or watching movies, it's like, oh, you grow to want that. So you hang out with each other, you do all these different things, and of course, our families were okay with us hanging out, and we had a big group of friends that we hung out with, and in that, at that age, growing up as a Jehovah's Witness again, so much trauma that's buried in there. I just, ugh. uh, but as we go, we'll unpack it, right? We'll unpack everything that's all that. But when it comes to the relationship aspect, the the portion, or the time during the time, when we were kids, I mean, I liked her, um, and I thought things. It's crazy because as a child, I really thought, like, okay, once I meet my forever person, that's it. I'm gonna get married and I'm gonna live the the life that I never had. And fast forward, we're 11, right? After dating for so long, the they're so, growing up as a Jehovah's Witness, again, we don't celebrate a lot of different things. Um, Celebrated at wedding anniversaries and weddings for the most part. Those usually were the time for parties. Now, families had parties every so often, just for, just to kind of like hang out and whatnot. But generally, there wasn't a whole lot going on. So when the parties came, you had to enjoy it. You had to really, because you got to hang out with all your friends and just do whatever. And so there was a wedding, I want to say, and Anna was very much interested in dancing with one of my friends. Now, dancing is really the only other thing that you could do at the parties, right? So, uh, yeah, she seemed very interested in dancing with him, and more so than with me. And at 11 years old, that definitely does a number on you, even though you don't know it. because it's the first time in a relationship that I felt rejected and honestly replaced. And she told me that she didn't like him or anything like that. Which, I mean, at 11 again, what do you know about a relationship? Um, but her best friend told me the opposite. And of course, at that time, I had the choice, the option of believing either my girlfriend or believing her best friend. Well, with what I was seeing with my own eyes, coupled with what her best friend was telling me, that made the most sense. So of course, I believed her best friend. So I told Anna that, you know what, I don't want to be with you anymore. Like, we're done, and we're not talking anymore. Which is hard to do because you're in the same church, so you see each other all the time. We have the same friend group. God. But I did it. I was just like, no, I don't talk to her. I'm not hanging around her. She would go off with some friends, and I would go with other friends and hang out other places. And that's what I did. As I hung out with, like, although the whole friend group as a whole would hang out every so often. Some of the older kids were always going to hang out on their own. They weren't going to hang out with the younger kids like us. But I made friends with the older ones, and so I hung out with them more often. And so it allowed me to separate myself from the friend group a little bit without having to worry about seeing her all the time whenever we hung out. And even my eyes are bothering the hell out of me. But yeah, so I didn't didn't well, I avoided seeing her, talking to her as much as humanly possible. And that again, that was around 11. And I remember um, one of the things that actually turned me off was like away even more was the fact that she wrote this long letter. And at the end, she wrote her name and her last name. And she wrote her name with my last name and asked me if you want. And I'm just like, what are you talking about? Like, are you crazy? Like, I'm 11. But again, fast forward to another 3 years after not really talking to her, not really just avoiding her at any and all costs. Honestly, we're 14 and we started talking again. I was like, awesome. Actually, it was probably 13 because 14, I think 14, I ended up, yeah, it was probably around 13. So start talking again, and no, I take that back. 13, 14. Yeah, no, that was about right. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get the timeline ready because I'm trying to tell myself, like, okay, I was doing this, and this. And so start talking again, and come to the realization that we still liked each other. I mean, obviously somebody that you're avoiding, you're thinking about, right? So yeah, we started talking again. This time, we're a little bit older. We're in high school. So like, all right, we're gonna date. And as a Joe's Witness, you date with intention. Like, there is no, like, just gonna be messing around, stuff like that. No, you're dating with the intention. Even at that young age, of course, the pressure isn't there, but it is kind of there. Her her family, specifically her mom and my mom, were very on board with the idea of us dating and eventually getting married. So much so that my mother and I, and well, my mother, my sister, and I would actually stay the night every so often at their house. Of course, they're there so that way they could keep supervision on us, right? Where they're trying to make sure that we're not going to do anything that we're not supposed to. Which we messed around some stuff, but nothing ever. No clothing items were ever removed. Um, but again, we were dating, and I really started to envision a future where she would be my wife. I started. I got like a summer job doing landscaping. Go figure. Mexican. I'm gonna do landscaping. But around this time, another family started coming to the church, and with it was three kids, one boy, two girls. And of course, we're gonna embrace newcomers. You know, like, hey, we want you to come check it out, come more often, just come hang out with us. So of course, we're the all of us teenagers are gonna embrace the other teens and tell them, hey, let's go hang out, let's go do this. And so, in doing that, uh, that's where the beginning of the end started. So we would hang out, see each other on at church and stuff like that, and then eventually Anna would start to hang out with the girls. Awesome, great. You're making friends. They're starting to get more comfortable. Great. But somehow or another, of course, the brother, and he's, I want to say, like a year younger than us. You know, she's around him and starts talking to him. Well, they're talking as friends, I can only assume, but clearly it evolved into more, and we're gonna call him Luigi. um, yeah, it turned into more for them. They're married now, from last I've heard. I don't know them anymore. Like, if I saw them, I would recognize them, of course. But in the fact that she started to like him and wanted to see him, she dumped me. Now, this is twice by the same person, all in my very formidable years, as far as like formal, informative years, that I'm taking in how to handle relationships, how to handle different things, and having the set expectation, basically, not just myself. It's one thing if I have the expectation, right? If I have the expectation that I'm going to eventually marry this woman or anything like that, but our parents were so like, they drove that narrative for us. And I mentioned it in the podcast with Drew that, like, my first kiss with her was at Disneyland because her family took us to Disneyland. And so, yeah, there was a big driving force behind that. They wanted to see us eventually get married. So it's not just the expectation that I set up, but now I have the weight of the expectation of everybody else. And so that really that really hurt. It brought out a lot of different emotions, a lot of um, traumas that I didn't know that I had at that time, but definitely they showed up in my actions and in my tendencies. So I carried that for quite some time now. I've had other girlfriends at that time, and since then, I've had girls that I've dated. Um, I think I had like one other girlfriend after that. Oh, actually, no, I take that back too. Two. Um, One that I've talked about already in the other show was that Um, the one that I thought was going to be, or the one that claimed that she was pregnant, but ultimately don't know if she ever was or not. Um, then the one before that, um, that one wasn't super serious. I don't think I ever allowed myself to ever get serious after what Anna did. Now, I mean, granted, we were kids, teenagers, but that shit sticks with you. That can cause you to do a lot of different things and treat other people, other potential um, partners in ways that you didn't even realize. We talked again. I talked about this earlier, and it was just like, wait, I have a resentment, like a whole ass resentment towards this person. Why? Well, here I thought this person absolutely cared about me and absolutely wanted the same thing that I did, and somehow or another found not just one but two friends of mine to go after. And it's one thing if I'm going to preface this just because I know that eventually it's going to come up, but um, it's one thing if people fall for each other, and sometimes and you don't necessarily get to pick who you fall for. um I mean, you can get into a relationship and stuff like that, but sometimes there's going to be people that you just like, whatever, it just happens, right? But also, in the context of um extracurricular adult activities, right? You can always come to the terms of like, hey, you know what, I'm going to do, like, let's do this, and no strings attached here, no strings attached there, whatever. But then when it comes to other people, like, or other people's girlfriends or stuff like that or whatever, it's, there's just so many different things that could be done and said. um, but for me at that time, it was just like, we're all kids. you know Here I'm thinking this is the woman that I'm going to marry, so yeah, I'm going to be a little pissed off. And just the resentment. And unfortunately, my subsequent relationships have suffered because of that. I have my codependency issues. I have those things that are very much, you know, the word escapes me. The desire for the acknowledgement and for the love that I felt that I didn't get as a child. And so then you get that in a relationship, and that just throws everything the hell out. So it makes it easier for you to just go ahead and say, you know what? Eventually, you may get to a point where you're in a relationship and you just don't even know it, but you're somehow find a way to throw a grenade in it. And I did that. I did pull the pin, threw the grenade in, and said sayonara. Not not my best moment. That's what I like about this, is that I'm able to just be open and candid about all of the different things that have gone on in my life and are going on in my life. But to kind of discover, like, ooh, where did that come from? Is that why I'm the way that I am? Is that the things that, like, that made me feel that it was okay to act in the way that I did? Yeah, those were things that happened. And so, God, my eyes are really bothering me. So I apologize if I look like I'm squinting the whole damn time. Um, the the way that it affected me was, mm, it caused me to try to figure out ways to kind of get what I want out of a relationship, and then kind of, control. Again, control is one of those things that I'm going to be struggling for a while because I'm working on it. And I wish, oh, again, this is the control factor, right? I wish that I could just take something, wake up tomorrow, have these issues are all gone. But that's not how real life works, right? And so I trying to figure out the best way to say it, that not that it comes across any kind of specific way or anything like that. It's just that, like, choosing my words in a way where it explains what it is that I'm trying to say. I know that I have right now. I'm more of a the the anxious attachment style. Um, so I need a constant reassurance, and I need to know that, hey, look, here I am doing this. Like, here, tell me everything that you're thinking. Tell me everything that's going on in your life. I want to know. I want to know. I want to know, because it's all the little things that mean something to me. Yada yada yada. Trust me, that sucks. But I've also been the avoidant before, and even more so recognize my avoidant tendencies by the relationships that I've had. Saying, mm, get close enough. Well, now it's time for me to make it so you'll want to bail. So I'm gonna act out in ways that will turn you off on me, and you'll want to just leave. But it won't be a surprise to me because of the fact that, like, I've done everything that I possibly could to make sure that you leave. And that's kind of a shitty existence if you play it out long enough. Because granted, I'm 37. I don't want to do that anymore. The whole point of all this, right, is that I'm trying not to do the same fucking things that I've been doing my whole life. Because did some good come of these things? Yeah. I mean, again, I was married for 13 years, have my family, and that's great. Those are all aspects of things that I absolutely love. But I wasn't entirely me during that time. I didn't know that. Hell, I don't even know who I am entirely, right? Right now, I mean, I'm figuring things out. Again, I'm rediscovering the likes that I have, the dislikes, the things that I want to do for myself, and starting to learn to get comfortable with that has been a real challenge, especially because I'm the type of person that wants the relationship, that wants to know that, hey, I am headed towards something that, like, means something. So yeah, the idea of the family and the kids and all that stuff, still, absolutely. And granted, again, I said that I have my family, but the kids are all older. The grandkids are getting older. Don't get to see them as often because they live in Hawaii. I'm here in Vegas, and the only times that I would see them is usually if we went out there as a family, or if they came over here and stayed with us. Is that going to happen again? I don't think so. At least not anytime soon, right? Once my oldest granddaughter is getting ready to graduate from high school, I'm definitely going to do everything that I possibly can to get out there and be there for that celebration. And subsequently with all the rest of the kids. But there's still that part of me that wants to try to do that all over again. But at the same time, I'm just like, I don't want kids. I really don't. And that could be seen as selfish, but when you've done all of that stuff, when you've helped with the diapers, when you've heard all the screaming kids, oh my god, all the screaming kids in the car, I can deal with not doing that again. I really can. But there's still that part of me again that wants the relationship stuff, wants all of that. But man, like I was saying last night in the second part of our previous episode, um, the peace is a lot louder than the chaos right now. The idea of peace is enough to make me want to run for the freaking hills, which is crazy because here I am, hot off the heels of coming back from an extended weekend in a completely different state, chasing a woman that, if I'm being honest with myself, I still harbor feelings for. Some of those are positive feelings. Some of those are actually kind of negative, just because of the circumstances of the visit and all that stuff. And again, I mean, I don't want to be one-sided on this because I mean it's all coming from me, but at the same time, telling the truth isn't necessarily a one-sided thing, right? It's just saying like this is the stuff that happened. I can acknowledge the parts that I played in it. I can say that, you know what, I tried to rush into a relationship with this person, and I pushed and I pushed and I pushed, and she just wasn't ready for it. Which, again, brings me back to the things that I do and why I do them. Right? There was that part of me that when we first expressed feelings for each other the first time, she seemed to reciprocate. So with that, again, I heard something different. Oh, well, I heard something in one of our conversations that I did not want to hear. Again, this was a difference in belief systems, which, some people can work, some people can't. If you're willing to accept anything and everything about a person, what does it matter? But these are fundamental differences. And so, but I was willing to overlook all of it once, I was given that second chance. I was just like, okay, you're going to do you, I'm going to do me. You know, you're going to celebrate your holidays the way that you see fit, and I'm going to celebrate my holidays the way that I see fit. I'm going to go to church on Sundays, and you'll do what it is that you do as far as your spiritual rituals and stuff like that. And I'm never going to tell you you can't, and you're never going to tell me that I can't, and we're just going to just be okay. But damn it, that freaking stuck in my craw pretty fucking hard. I was like, and I remember telling her, I don't want to change you. Like, you being who you are is what made me fall for you in the first place. But eventually, at what cost was I willing to handle that? At least subconsciously, it must have been in the back of my mind because I allowed myself to push and push and push. Never mind the anxious attachment style that I've developed. Um, but these attachment styles are all intimacy based, are derived from the amount of intimacy that you either and attention that you got from or did not get from um, family and generally your parents, right? Because I didn't get enough I love yous and all of that growing up, it was just supposed to be assumed that I was loved, you you value the words that much more. It's like I want to hear it. Like I want to hear it all the time. I want to hear that you're thinking about me, that you're caring about me, all of this type of shit. And and of course, granted the nearly 13-year marriage, I had that as far as like I didn't have to ask for the the reassurance and the confirmation and all the things that were going on because she did that. I never even had to ask. Hell, sometimes I got annoyed with that shit. It's like, why are you telling me where you're at? Like, I already know where you're at. You don't have to keep me updated. um, but so coupled with that, as far as like just getting used to that, and then also just having that because I didn't have that growing up. I wanted to know how you felt. I wanted to know what you were thinking. As benign as the thoughts or our actions were, I still wanted to know. So again, that style of attachment is still insecurity and intimacy derived, which an anxious attacher will want something so bad and not know that they're causing the exact opposite of what it is that they're looking for or what they're trying to or what they claim that they want. Like I want a partner that's always going to tell me what it is that that they're doing and what they want and yada yada yada, and I want to be around them all the freaking time and do all this type of stuff. Now, mind you, I'm generally not that person. I am very much generally not that person. I'm like, all right, we can cuddle up, we could do that, or you can sit on one couch and I can sit on the other, watching TV, whatever. Like, I'm good. But damn it, after the divorce, I got freaking screwed on that. But yeah, but it's a way of pushing people away too. That's the thing about like avoidance is that avoidance will actively run, whereas anxious attachers will actively chase. Right. Um, but the results is all going to be the same. An anxious attacher is going to smother the shit out of their partner and make them want to run. And an avoidant is going to do exactly just that. They're going to run because it's the idea of losing somebody. It scares the ever living shit out of them, especially if they actually care about them. So they run before you can. And then again, the anxious attacher is going to chase and chase and chase because, like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, you're gonna leave, you're gonna leave, you're gonna leave if I'm not here all the time. Again, sometimes you realize it, sometimes you don't. It's like, oh my god, I'm gonna chase you, and I'm. But when you become a little bit more aware of your attachment style, it could definitely bite you in the ass in the sense where it's like, oh well, I know that I'm gonna be pushy. Oh, but I'm gonna push anyway. All in hopes that you're gonna change your mind. But in the back of my mind, I know you're probably not, and you're gonna want to run. And boy, did she run! And here I am left picking up the pieces. She didn't want what I wanted, right? But god damn it if I'm not angry about some of that shit. And people are gonna say, well, do you really have the right to be mad? I don't think anybody has the right to tell me how the fuck I want to feel. Now, if it's right or wrong, that's a whole different story, right? That becomes a matter of perspective. Again, I can tell you what happened. I go out there. I'm not going to disclose the cost of my entire trip, but needless to say, it wasn't exactly um, it wasn't cheap. All because I wanted to have a conversation that I just could not have on the freaking phone. Either one, we just wouldn't get on the phone. or on FaceTime. Or two, when I did finally get that time to actually like have that conversation, I went stupid as far as like I'm so excited. I'm like a freaking like a dog that's been cooped up all day, and then their owner finally comes home, and it's just like, oh, you're here, you're here, you're here. Everything that I wanted to show you, I don't care. You're here. Wham! Freaking just run into them. So I would get excited over that, over just the fact that I get to just to have you on fucking FaceTime for 30 minutes maybe. That I forget what it is that I wanted to say. And felt like I have to go to get the answers that I need, not the answers that I want, because clearly I did not get the answers that I wanted. Because if I would have got what I wanted, I would maybe not be doing this video, this podcast. Maybe I'd still be drinking. All of these different things. Again, I can highlight the positives of my trip itself, but still, like, if I got what I wanted, then maybe some of this again would not be happening. But would I even be happy? Would I even be fucking happy? Because clearly the work is yet to be done, right? Like the work that I'm trying to work on myself is the fact that like, okay, I have my issues. I'm trying to work through them so that way I no longer repeat the same actions. Like I don't I don't want to be anxiously attached. Like that shit sucks. You know, waiting on freaking pins and needles trying to figure out if anybody that you're talking to is gonna respond to you. That shit drives me absolutely nuts. And I don't want to be in avoidant either, where like, well, I'm just gonna cause you to leave me. I'm gonna piss you off so much that you're just gonna walk. Or if I do walk, I'm not gonna give you an explanation as to why. I'm just gonna go because eventually you're gonna leave. So might as well do the leaving instead of getting left. But I don't want that. Again, I want the peace, but yet it sucks when it just so freaking loud. But that weekend, you know, without disclosing too much, I guess. Um, again, this is my perspective. These are the things that I'm seeing, the things that I am feeling. So if anybody out there watches this and says, well, you know, they know Amy and, you know, this, and that or whatever, or if Amy even watches this at some point or another, I don't know if she ever will. I doubt that she will. But this is my fucking perspective. This is the way that I saw things, the way that I feel about things, the way that I need to process it. So I can fucking let go and move on. I go out there to where she's currently at. First night, wonderful. Not as didn't get to hang out as much as I would have liked, but again, you know, anxious attacher wants to be like, come here. But it was great. Had dinner, did a little bit of shopping. She went home. Bam. I go back to my hotel. And I'm just giddy. I'm so freaking excited because I'm here now and I get to see you and we get to make a plan. We get to go on a date or whatever it is that we're gonna do. We get to do it together. Friday I wake up and God freaking early, like a stupid early time. I don't know why. I'm tired of shit. Why am I waking up 3 or 4 hours after I just went to sleep? So it's good. I'm gonna go have breakfast and I'm gonna grab some coffee, whatever. Well, the hotel that I picked it because they normally have like the continental breakfast, and then it's just like, okay, I get to eat and sit there and all that stuff. They were having construction issues. The part of the building was flooded out. It was stupid. So I decided, all right, you know what? Instead of making coffee in my room, I'm just gonna go to Dutch Bros. I've got to go swing by Walmart anyway and pick up some of the stuff that I need that I forgot. So I go and I go get me Dutch Bros and I texted Amy saying, "Hey, look, I'm at Walmart. You want anything from Dutch Bros?" She said, "Sure, absolutely." So I was like, "All right, awesome. Shoot me your order and I'll head out there and I'll take it to you." She shoots me an order. I take it to her and I'm like, "All right, cool." So we talk and talk for a little bit, but again, I'm just like that puppy that I'm telling you about. That it just like everything can be going on in the house, but the moment the your person walks through the door, wham, just freaking right into them, and you just wanna be there. Everything else is gone by the wayside. Every little thought that you may have had, all of it. My toys, all this stuff, everything that I have around me, the which represent my questions and all that shit. All of that, I don't care. I don't care. Just because I'm happy. I'm happy in this moment. But then, kind of like a person that's tired and has that same puppy. It's like you need to go. Just go away. Go away. Now again, I have to preface everything because God forbid anybody misunderstand what the hell was going on. I made the trip decidedly on my own. I went out there, but I gave some notice. I did give some notice saying that, hey, I'm going to be in your area. And she's asked me when. I told her when. Said, okay. She even said she wanted to see me. So awesome. You want to see me. You want to see me. But yet, in the moment that I'm there in front of you, it's like you can't fucking deal with the fact that I'm there. And so I leave, go have breakfast, go have a couple drinks, whatever, go driving around town quite a bit, trying to keep myself from going just absolutely off the fucking wall. Because again, just because I'm aware of the issues that I have doesn't mean that I can always stop them. Getting better at it though. And so I go and I say all or while I go out and I know that I had talked about it, but I'm trying to get into a little bit more detail about it all. Meet this wonderful elderly couple, talk to them, give them the breakdown of what's been going on. And they told me you need to go and find out what it is that this young woman would like to do. What does she want? But just know that you deserve to be with somebody that wants to be with you, that wants to put in the same time and effort and energy into the thing that you're trying to build together. And again, this isn't Amy's fault. This part right now that I'm it's just that I'm right now in this moment. 37-year-old Ben is going back in time and trying to mend the heart of 14 and 11-year-old Ben. although rejected for different reasons, still rejected. So having to talk this stuff out with this elderly couple, I'm like, all right, I got to do something. I got to make some kind of gesture that's going to hopefully again indicate what it is that I'm trying to express and how I feel, and maybe have the fucking conversation that I needed to have in the first place. And I did, and I bought a couple of things. I bought her something, and I bought uh, Amy's child something as well. And so I was able to have the conversation. Now, granted, I came by unannounced. I did not say that I was coming over. I wasn't invited over. This was already a little bit later in the evening, so understandably, Amy was not entirely thrilled. But again, it's not like I was there to like try to make a scene or you know anything else. I just wanted to have a fucking conversation. And yeah, we we held each other. We did this stuff and whatever, and it was great. It was nice, and the fact that my energy at that moment was being reciprocated felt fantastic. Felt wonderful. But as the night goes on and we have this conversation, come to the realization, you know what? I can see it. She just wants to be friends, and that just is earth shattering when you think you're in love with somebody. I'm not saying that I'm not. I'm just saying that like right now where I'm at, just emotionally, I just have to take the reins again and just be like, okay, reevaluate why and these things and all of this other stuff, and just kind of just like, all right, process, just fucking do the work. So, and seeing that, I was just like, I don't know if I can live my life without you, and in it. So if it's your friend that I have to be, then it's going to be your friend that I have to be. Well, as she's, you know, pushing me out, I asked her if I was going to see her the following day, which was my last full day in town. And she said probably not. That probably became a definite after a good chunk of the day passed by, and then the fact that I proceeded to just drink myself into a freaking dumbass. But probably not. Again, rejection for completely different reasons is still rejection nonetheless, especially when you feel the way that you do. And I'm not telling this to garner sympathy from anybody, because clearly she's not here to tell her side of the story. So this is a incomplete story. Who knows if that part of the story is ever going to come out. I can just give my perspective and my view of the way that I felt in those moments, and really try to just process and deal with it. But yeah, the following morning, which was a Saturday, knowing full well that I'm not going to be able to see her. And I already did enough to show how much I cared and how much I wanted to try to get this relationship off of the ground because I thought there was some mutual interest. But you can't force communication out of somebody that doesn't want to. Following day, I send a text message saying, "Hey, look, I don't understand how you can really like me, but not want to see me on my last day in town. I understand there are things going on, and maybe I could have chose my words better as far as like, you know, stating that she might have had issues and all this other type of stuff or whatever. Again, trying to elicit some kind of response. Oh, and I got one, definitely got one. But the fact that I got one that was like actually emotionally charged in that moment spoke volumes, at least to me. Because I had texted before, like, "Hey, I'm thinking about you. I miss you," and yada yada yada, being the the mushy one, right? I can't recall. There may be some. There may be some. I had to wipe my phone one time, so that. Um, but I don't remember. I don't remember seeing messages with even replying in the same fashion. There was kissy emojis, heart emojis, huggy emojis, stuff like that. And maybe that's just the way that she expresses herself, and I just didn't know how to do that. I didn't know how to receive it because that's not the way that I was communicating. I was communicating using my words, and so of course I'm going to think like, shouldn't I get that in return? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Again, this is all my perspective. This is how I'm seeing and feeling about these things. If she sees this and she wants to give her perspective, she's more than welcome to do so. I know full well that I was pushy and just wanted to get an answer. And I hoped way too hard, right? Like I was really trying to have that relationship go. But here I am after a full week of no contact. Every time I think about writing a text message or writing a letter or writing something that she can then read and, decide if she wanted to talk to me again or not. I'm always on that brink, but I just can't bring myself to do it. Maybe it's the part of acceptance of knowing that, this isn't going to happen. But in the back of my mind, there's that little speck of hope. Again, why? Why do I hope? I think it's because I just want to know. I want to hope that eventually I'm going to find that person that I do these things for and I receive all of that back. Now, Ben, what about your ex wife? What about my ex wife? She's a wonderful and amazing human. Right now, where we're at, though, that can't happen. I'm not closing the door on it. I'm just, again, perspective. It's hard to imagine being with somebody else when the person that you want to be with doesn't want you. But also recognizing why it is that you wanted to be with that person in the first place. Like, again, I so many different reasons, so many different aspects of what it is that I was looking for. But then just having core just disagreements was I knew from get go that I probably should have just said no. Don't chase it. But if I haven't already told you, or if you weren't fully aware, I'm one stubborn jackass. So I'm just gonna lean into it. And so I did, and I did. But it's amazing that throughout the process here, right, in these videos, I get to process my thoughts, my emotions a little bit better, and see, like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna be all right. Am I working on me? Absolutely. Because again, I don't want the same issues to continue to keep coming back and back and back and just screwing all my shit up eventually. So I can take a look at the silver linings, right? Yeah, I made this trip. Where I went was absolutely gorgeous. The area was beautiful, snow covered mountains and hills, and just absolutely fucking cold though. I hate the cold. Oh my god. I hate the cold so much. But I was willing to endure it. So that's part of the silver lining. Did I get a little too freaking rocked off of whiskey and what else? Yeah, I did. I definitely did. But I come back and now it's like I don't even want to drink anymore. Like I don't know that I can handle that. So I don't want it anymore. It's good for my overall liver function, that's for sure, because my liver was hating me. But I get to face things head on. And so again, silver linings, right? All of my issues have become more to the forefront. And now it's like, okay, gotta work on this and do kind of just what happened right here, right? Where the stuff that's going on now, that and the stuff that happened to me in my past, I have to go now back and parent myself back into like, it's not you, it's that person or it's a situation, whatever it is, it's just, but better off knowing the the fact that you're still good. I can now look at myself at that age and just kind of look and be like, you know what, Ben, you're worth it. You're worth all of those things. Even if it's not with the person that you thought it was going to be with. Again, I'm going to say their names, Penny and Marv, 48 years strong. I got to call them. I have their number. I'm going to call them and find out how they're doing and see if they'll give me permission to show their picture, um, so everybody could see what it is that I'm talking about. Um, but somebody that's going to match that same energy, the same that has that same goal that you have as far as when it comes to the relationship. That's Everybody deserves that, um, for the most part, right? I mean, there are definitely some jackasses out there that do not, um, at least not in their current state, right? If they continue to be stupid about things, then yeah. But if anybody's wanting to make those changes and make those adjustments, then hey, you do deserve to be happy and to have that relationship with that person that you find and wants to give all that time and energy right back to you as well. that you're worth so many different things, not just the relationship aspect, but you're worth being happy. So if nothing else, again, I'm not gonna stop encouraging people to take that sword and just wreck that demon's shit until I can't stand no more. Continue doing the work, continue fighting. Whatever situation you may be going through, eventually know that there is a light at the other side. And yeah, I would be excited to hear about it if anybody ever wanted to share. But until next time, this has been the show with yours truly, B Renegade, aka Ben. Y'all have a good night.